Summer may be behind us, but the hunt for collection-worthy comics never ends. If you're a budget-conscious collector, you're in luck, because today I'm counting down my top 10 comics on a $20 budget for the summer 2024. From 90s nostalgia and gritty 80s horror to MCU speculation and hidden gems from legendary artists, this list has something for every collector. Let's dive in and see what great finds are possibly waiting to be added to your collection. Let's kick off the list with one of the 90s wackiest superheroes and what I think is, hands down, their most recognizable adventure. The number 10 book is The Tick number 7. This one has it all. You got the Tick, Arthur, Chairface Chippendale, Man-Eating Cow, and so much more. Cover dated February 1990, this is the issue where Chairface Chippendale hatches his scheme to carve his name on the moon, and we also meet the Man-Eating Cow for the very first time. But that's not where the good times end, because this is also the first time our lovable big blue buffoon uses his trademark battle cry, Spoon. This is early enough in the Tick's history that it's still all creator Ben Edlund creatively. So he's doing the art, he's doing the writing. Higher grade raw copies of this one have been going for upwards of $10 lately, but you can find really collectible copies moving for as little as $5 in the fine to very fine range. In the number 9 spot, we find the consolation prize to the original book that I'd slotted for here. Because since I started working on this list earlier this summer, and when I actually sat down to put this video together, Daredevil number 11 took off and is now over budget. So with that in mind, we're checking down to Daredevil Volume 5, number 14, the first cover appearance of the villain Muse. Despite a few swings and misses, the market isn't completely ready to give up on MCU and Disney Plus spec. With the relatively new bad guy Muse rumored to be part of the upcoming Daredevil Born Again show, things have really heated up for not just the character's first appearance, but also their first cover appearance as well. Cover dated February 2017, this issue was from the well-received Charles Soule and Ron Garney Daredevil run. Turning in the moderately unnerving cover for this issue, which I like, is artist Dan Panosian, and this is the first of 3 consecutive Daredevil covers that he would do. Recent sales for raw copies of this one are starting to flirt with numbers beyond our $20 budget, but there are still copies moving for between $15 and $20, for now anyway. I don't care how long you're in this hobby, there's always more to learn and new books to discover. Take our number 8 book, Swamp Thing number 84 for instance. I had no idea until I began researching for this video that this issue not only depicts the death of Matthew Cable, who we would all learn to love over in Neil Gaiman's Sandman series as Matthew the Raven, but that the series protagonist, Morpheus, Dream, the Sandman, whatever you want to call him, makes just his 3rd appearance in this issue of Swamp Thing. This issue of Swamp Thing that doesn't actually even include an appearance of Swamp Thing. For a Sandman fan like myself, I feel like this is some essential reading that I've been missing out on. Swamp Thing 84 was cover dated March 1989 and featured the creative team of writer Rick Veitch, interior artist Tom Mandrake, and cover artist John Toddleben. Raw high-grade sales peaked out at $15 earlier this summer, while a number of sales between $5 and $10 have been the most common result. The story of this summer in the comic book community, well, other than CGC and other grading company scandals and hot messes, has been the announcement of Doctor Doom coming to the MCU. And when the actor bringing the Latvian lunatic to the screen is the same guy who used to play Iron Man, well, you've got to lean in on the crossroads of Doom and Iron Man. Our number 7 book is just such a book, Supervillain Team-Up number 9. This December 1976 issue features the first battle between Iron Man and Doctor Doom. The creative team is awesome on this one too, with Gil Kane on the cover art, Bill Mantlo writing, and Jim Shooter and Sal Trappini on the interior art. The issue is part 3 of a 4-part story which crosses over with Avengers 154, 155, and 156. Values are beginning to creep up on Supervillain Team-Up number 9 as everybody continues to hop on the Doom train. Despite the recent uptick, VF range copies are still selling in the neighborhood of $15 and $20 if this one tickles your fancy. Summer is all but over, so you know I'm already thinking about spooky season. Why not start that party a little bit early with the number 6 book, Terminator No. 1. First things first, We need to clarify which Terminator series we're talking about, because not only are there 1,000 different Terminator series, I'm pretty sure every comic book publisher that's ever existed has given James Cameron's dystopian future a go at this point. Marvel, IDW, Dynamite, Dark Horse, Malibu, and even Beckett Entertainment. But it was Now Comics who gave us the very first Terminator tale. Cover dated September 1988, this issue was published 4 years after the first Terminator movie hit theaters back in October 1984. The series would run for a total of 17 issues, and despite his importance to the larger Terminator mythos, series hero John Connor would not make his first appearance until this series' 12th issue. The 25-page story was written by Fred Schiller and it was drawn by Tony Atkins, with the painted cover coming from Mitch O'Connell. Topping out at just over $20 recently, most high-grade raw copies of Terminator No. 1 have sold for between $15 and $20 this summer. There is so much Fantastic Four material out there that is worth talking about, and God knows I've already talked about quite a bit of it. But it's easy to overlook more recent issues of significance when the first family's rich history of classic stories casts such a long shadow. With that in mind, let's check out a modern FF issue that introduces a group that took over for the Fab Four after the death of the Human Torch. The number 5 book is Fantastic Four 579, the first appearance of the Future Foundation. Cover dated July 2010, FF 579 comes from the Jonathan Hickman era of Fantastic Four, and it's here that he lays the groundwork for his FF, or Future Foundation series, that would temporarily take over for the Fantastic Four with the May 2011 first issue. Now, to be fair, the team that debuts here in FF 579 is kind of like the Young Avengers of the Fantastic Four world, while in FF number 1, that Future Foundation is made up of the remaining members of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, and the Thing, along with Spider-Man, who fills in for the sorta dead Johnny Storm. As mentioned before, the issue was written by Jonathan Hickman, with interior art from Neil Edwards and an Alan Davis cover. Most recent sales for high-grade raw copies have finished between $15 and $20, while a few have managed to close for just a few dollars higher. For the number 4 book, let's take a trip to Angel Grove and check out Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 1. Cover dated December 1994, this is the first regular comic book appearance of the Power Rangers, who had previously appeared in a Fruit of the Loom promo comic and the Sentai fanzine. Also making their debut in Power Rangers number 1, in addition to the Rangers, are series baddies Lord Zed and Goldar. The story titled The Menace of Dracula was written by Don Markstein and drawn by Gray Morrow, while the cover was drawn by Brett Blevins, though he did have an assist on the inks from legendary Marvel inker Terry Austin. Like the Tick, the Power Rangers were a big part of the Fox Kids programming block back in the day, which seems to be influencing the list fairly heavily this time out. And I don't think we're quite done with it just yet. This book had blown up, kind of like everything else back in 2021, but it's fallen on hard times lately. Peaking between $75 and $100 back in the day, most recent higher grade raw sales have been between $10 and $15, with a surprising number of sales for the issue closing in the single digits price-wise. Speaking of books that have fallen on hard times, the number 3 book is definitely on the struggle bus, which is hard to believe since the featured character is about to be the lead in the next MCU movie. That's right, the first appearance of Sam Wilson as Captain America in Captain America number 25 is our number 3 book. I don't even know what volume of Captain America this damn thing is from. They went through so many volumes in the span of a decade. I can tell you it's from the 2013 series, though the issue was cover dated December 2014. Written by Rick Remender with interior art from Carlos Pacheco and Stuart Immonen. Immonen also gets cover duties for this one. Well, the A cover anyway. This thing hit the market with a variety of variant covers, as one might expect. We're currently inside of 5 months from the release of Captain America Brave New World, and this book couldn't be any more ice cold. Recent sales for higher-end raw copies have peaked up around $20, but a surprising number of copies have sold for around $10 here in the back half of summer. I promised you more from the Fox Kids lineup, and I'm not going to leave you hanging. The runner-up comes from what may be the greatest after-school cartoon the world has ever known, Batman the Animated Series. With colder temperatures and the holiday season looming on the horizon, let's take a look at Batman Adventures Holiday Special number 1. With a cover date of January 1995, this issue, which contained not only a classic Mr. Freeze story, but also one of the definitive Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy tales, actually hit the stands in early December 1994, just in time for Christmas. The holiday special included a total of 5 stories, with the Mr. Freeze story, White Christmas, and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy story, The Harley and the Ivy, being the standouts. In fact, this issue was so well received that it brought home the Eisner Award for Best Single Issue at the 1995 Eisners. Recent sales for Batman Adventures Holiday Special 1 have been bouncing all over the place for the last month, but most sales for nice raw copies have sold right around our $20 budget limit, but a few sales have gone for oddly high amounts, with a peak at the beginning of September when somebody made the poor financial decision and paid $60 for a copy. A CGC 9.4 copy sold for just $10 more than that a little over a week earlier. 9 budget-friendly books down, which means we've reached the top of the top 10 comics on a $20 budget for the summer of 2024. I couldn't put one of these together and not have a Spider-Man book on it, right? Well, we're not stopping with just any Spider-Man issue. How about some Spidey action with a cover from Todd McFarlane with Marvel Tales number 236. Cover dated April 1990, this reprint issue repackages 1976's Marvel Team-Up Annual number 1, which was a pretty significant issue for a number of reasons. Team-Up Annual 1 was just the second appearance of Jean Grey as the Phoenix, as well as the first meeting of Wolverine and Spider-Man, as well as the first time that old Webhead and the new X-Men team paired up for an adventure. A high-grade copy of Marvel Team-Up Annual number 1 is likely to set you back upwards of $100 right now, while a similar copy of Marvel Tales 236 typically sells for right around $15 over the same period, and includes the exact same Bill Mantlo, Chris Claremont, Bonnie Wilder story, with Sal Buscema interior art. All you're really doing is swapping out the Dave Cockrum cover for a fairly rare Todd McFarlane X-Men cover, that and a pocket full of extra $20 bills. I've been waiting for fall ever since that first hot day this spring. Fall's my favorite time of the year, and I'm stoked that it's back, at least in name, once again. That doesn't mean we're all finished with summer though. Next up on the channel is the big top 10 list, looking back on the books that may be on the verge of pricing many collectors out, or even some of the best deals that have caught my attention lately. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I hope you're all ready for cooler temps and spooky comics just like I am. Collect responsibly, and I'll see you in the next video.